Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Ruby Darcy podcast. Today, I am joined by a very exciting and special guest, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with Ash. Ash, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on. I am so excited. Hearing you do the intro and you're like a very special guest, and I'm like, stop it, but don't.
But don't. But yeah, well, in that case, I'll keep going and I will explain why I wanted to get you on the podcast. So I feel that Ash, well, to give you a bit of an introduction, Ash is an online coach. She's in the online health mindset and business space. Are you still doing health coaching?
I mean, it's a little bit of a whole story, but I'm not necessarily doing health coaching myself. Like I don't do the coaching, but I still own a health, like a nutrition business, but I have two coaches that work for me and they do the coaching and I kind of run the business.
Incredible. True entrepreneurship. Yeah. Yes. So Ash's story, she's come from being a police officer turned entrepreneur in the health mindset business mentoring space. She very much captivates me with her ability to really authentically express herself. And she has this desire to provide value, to inspire others to stop playing small and start achieving big shit. And I love the way that you deliver this. And I love the unapologetic energy that you have towards this. And you can really feel that you love what you do. Like, would you agree?
I actually can't even put into words how much I love what I do. And it's like, when it comes to my business, I don't really view it as like, I do view it as a business, but I more view it as like I found my passion and my purpose. So it feels so much bigger than myself. Like I feel like I'm getting to do what I was meant to be doing. And it's like it lights me up inside more than I can even describe. Getting to see people and help people really, I guess, connects back to themselves. And it's always been that, even with nutrition, with business, with mindset, seeing women get really confident in who that they truly are and feel really certain in what they want to be doing and how they want to be doing that. So yes, I am very passionate and I am deeply in love with all of my clients. Like everyone that signs up to me, I'm just like, okay, well, I love you now. So welcome.
literally, and it's truly a relationship, and it's a business where you get to create so many relationships, and one where you're very intimately involved in their life in their most vulnerable state, and you get to, like as you said, help them grow. And that is such a huge part of people's journey, whether that's in the health, the mindset, or the business space. Like coaching is just so incredible. And you're also a mum, which is another reason why I wanted to get you on the podcast, for your perspective around your time management and your ability to run successful businesses under being a mum. So, did I miss anything in the intro? Is there anything else that I missed about you?
No, I don't think so. And listening to it, I'm like, oh my God, it's a lot. Yes, was a police, quit the police, start my business. I had kids when I was very, very young. So I had my daughter when I was 18 and my son when I was 19. And I run the two businesses. So one is just Ashley Badman Coaching, which is the mindset business side of things. And then I run another business, which was called, up until today, which is crazy that we're doing this podcast, it was called Wellness by Ash. That was what I started my business on, but the name has changed today and it's now called the Empowered Health Movement. So I run that as well with two coaches that work for me in that. So that basically sums it up, I think.
Oh my gosh, I love that this podcast is happening at such a monumental time. So, why did we do the rebrand?
Oh my gosh. I just did a potty on it like by myself and I cried like 4 times. So there's that. So I'm like, don't get emotional. But basically what I guess ended up happening is I started Wellness by Ash. That was where I quit the police and started a business. That was the business. And during that time was probably one of the most confusing times of my entire life. Like I feel like my life itself, I've had like a pretty rough upbringing and all those different things. But that decision I would say is one that really is like when people describe like fork in the road decisions in your life. I feel like that was a really big one for me. And I was in a really dark place as well. And I feel like I don't really talk about that often. So you're getting the whole thing. But basically Wellness by Ash, to me, it wasn't just a business for me. And that's why I say that a lot, because it really saved me. It really showed me what I'm here to do. And it gave me that reason to like I guess step into who that I truly authentically am. I feel like that was a real turning point in my life where I felt like I was living a life of who I should be. And then when I started my business, it was living a life of who I truly am. So that's kind of where it started. And I ran Wellness by Ash for 3 years with just myself running it, and my partner as well. He works for me full time, which is so, so cool. But it got to a point where I started to realize that I was falling in love with like more deeper mindset work. And I think it was always that. Like, I think the purpose behind why I wanted to help women was always coming from a feeling. But I think that, you know, I thought the best way to help them was with, you know, stop yo-yo dieting and eating with balance and all of those different things. And over time, it really evolved to me. I worked with hundreds of women, and it always came back to them just not feeling connected to themselves, them not trusting themselves, them not feeling confident in themselves. And I feel like I was always kind of doing more mindset work with them other than just giving calories and macros or a meal plan. I was like, wow, I really love this. So I stepped more into a mindset space, which led into being a business mentor as well, because I started very gradually just mentoring a couple of nutrition coaches and PTs online to help them grow their business. And then that evolved. And I was still working under the name Wellness by Ash at that time. Like, that was still what my Instagram page was called. And I was like, this feels a little bit off, because I really wasn't wanting to post calories and macros or share a recipe and things like that, because I just wanted and desired to have a different conversation, but I didn't want to let go of it. Like, I still just felt so in love with it. So what I did instead was I had 2 clients that had worked with me for over 12 months, and I had such a good connection with them. We were really, really aligned, and they were really passionate about the same things that I was passionate about. So I actually employed them, and we moved Wellness by Ash to its own Instagram page. And we've been working together for, oh gosh, I don't even know, maybe getting close to 12 months. And it just started to feel a bit weird, because their names are like Jessie and Kate, and they're doing a lot of the content because I'm running a lot of the back end stuff, and it was still under Wellness by Ash. And I'm like, I just don't know. And the conversation even on that page evolved from not so much just nutrition, but a lot of like body confidence and positivity and like all these different things. So ultimately, the best decision that I felt moving forward was to change the name. And we decided to change it to Empowered Health Movement, because we want to empower women with, you know, taking control of their life and things like that. So we changed it, and we're just fucking shit up.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. And it's going to feel and be received so differently. And whilst it's just the name, right? It like that's so powerful. Like Empowered Health Movement it speaks so much about what the company values without even, you know, speaking to that. And then you've maintained your personal brand on the side of that, which is just so incredible. So let's wind the clock back. So that is just like I love that story, and I can relate in many ways of the journey with my health business to then the mindset and falling in love with that. And what I see from that is really like actually seeing the root of the problem, you know, or the root of the person and why they're coming to you. It's like, oh, your perceived problem is so different to your actual problem, and that's where the good stuff is at. So I love that you just immersed yourself into the mindset and then the business space. So prior to this, you were in the police industry. And talk to me about, when did you first start to feel the passion sort of growing and then thinking that this would be a possibility? Like, what was that transition like for you? Did you see someone else do it and you're like, oh, and also when was this?
Yeah. So when I was in the police, so the police was like my dream job. So I wanted to join the police when I was in high school. Like, it was always what I wanted to do. And then I became a teen mum very unexpectedly. So I kind of thought that was off the table for me. Like, that's never going to happen. Like, all those different things. And like, if you know me or after you listen to it, I am a very driven person, but I'm also someone who is just like, if someone tells me that I can't do something, I'm like, well, watch me. Like, I'm gonna make it happen. So when my kids were, I think they were like 5 and 4, I was living in New South Wales. That's where I was from, and I moved to Victoria. So me and my partner, who I was with at the time, the kids' dad, moved to Victoria, and I joined the police. And how I can describe that experience, if I'm being completely honest, it was like when you have a celebrity like that you just think is the bee's knees and you just love them, but then you meet them in person, they're an absolute asshole. That's what it kind of felt to join the police. Like, I was like, this is my dream job. I'm so excited. I'm moving my entire family to a different state to be able to do this. And then I graduated from the academy, and I was working and I was doing all the police stuff. And I was like, I hate it. Like, I just did not love it. And it was it was such like it felt like a crisis in my mind, because I was just like, but you've moved your whole family here. This is your dream job. Like, you're finally accomplishing something with your life, and you're just going to throw it all away. That's kind of what was playing out.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have the support from family, and not so much friends, but definitely from family, thinking that leaving the police would be a big mistake if I decided to do that. But I just knew, like, I just knew I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. There was a lot of stuff, I guess, with the police and the how I guess the culture that just wasn't who that I felt that I was, and it just didn't feel aligned to me, and I didn't ever feel fulfilled. So my whole purpose of joining the police was like, I want to help people, like I want to change lives. I didn't come home from work any of the days thinking I've really helped someone or I've really changed their life. And it was just like, I kind of felt lost. And then at that same time, I was kind of like, exercising, getting really into the gym. I was getting really into like flexible dieting and like tracking calories. And I found tracking calories and was like, holy shit, this is like life changing. Why is no one else doing this? Like,
Yeah.
what mean I can eat ice cream? Like, I'm eating ice cream at night, every night. So I was like, whoa, this is so crazy. And I think I created an Instagram page. So it's the power in just doing one thing is that you think is so minor, can be so big. And I
Mhm.
started to build like a community. I wasn't running a business. I was just sharing my journey. I was like, getting fit. I had like cool transformation. I had lost weight and all these different things. And I started to get like followers, and like all this stuff happened. And I remember I was like laying on the floor on a mattress in the lounge room because it was like COVID times. And I said to my partner, I think I was like sipping a wine, living my best life. And I'm like, imagine if I like started to, like, I gave people meal plans and showed them that they could eat whatever they want. Like, imagine if I could do that. And he was just like, well, why the heck not? And I was
Mhm.
like, could I really do this? And then it kind of, yeah, long story short, I ended up quitting the police. And
Yeah.
well, long story short, I cried many a times. I was so scared I was fucking up my entire life.
Mhm.
I moved back home with my mum in
Mhm.
New South Wales into a 3-bedroom villa. I had a 5-bedroom house with my partner, gigantic backyard. We had pretty good salaries in the police. So me and my partner, who I was with someone new at this time, so me and the dad's kid, like we had broken up,
Mhm.
we moved back to my mum's in a tiny ass 3-bedroom villa with 3 dogs, 2 kids, my partner and myself. And we had like the tiniest room. And I started Wellness by Ash. And you should have seen, like, I literally had like a kitchen chair, like a box, a plastic box, a pillow, my laptop on top. And I would run like live like calls through there. And I was like so fucking committed. Like, I was like, this isn't happening. It's
Yeah.
happening. Like, I'm going to make it happen. And we lived with my parents for 12 months.
Mhm.
Of like, just like, you have no space, you have no space, but obviously incredibly grateful. And yeah, I created Wellness by Ash, and it took off like fucking wildfire.
Oh my gosh. Firstly, it's the 3 dogs in the house as well as the 2 kids, and the 3 like, that is
And
just so chaotic.
my mum had a dog and a cat, so there was 4 dogs and a cat. The cat's name's Bob. We were all just living our best life.
Jeez, the neighbors would be like, "What's going on in there?" Wow. So, thank you for sharing this. This is just so powerful. So, you were saying you didn't have the support from family. So, what was that like, assuming that your mum potentially wasn't in full support and then going to say, "Hey, I'm actually coming to live with you, mum, and you're not going to be happy about it, but this is what I'm doing." Like, how did that go? That and in more so you were saying you just trusted yourself regardless, right? And you just had like, how did you fight that in your head where there was this like contrasting view, but you stayed so true to yourself? Like, talk to me about that process.
Yeah, so with my mum, I think now when I look back at that, I can see that she was doing it out of a place of trying to protect me. Not that I think it is the right thing. I think that, and I've chatted to her about this and stuff like that. And, she's basically like, you're going to ruin your life. Why are you doing this? And that's really hard, because you're already battling with those thoughts yourself, right? I'm already worried about those things. And then having my mum say that. And I think the thing that ultimately allowed me to make the decision regardless was, I think I just have always, and I don't know if this is a mindset that you build, but I feel like, I've my upbringing, all those things, I'm just quite a resilient person, not naturally a resilient person. It's something that I've had to work on and build over time. And I think with building resilience, you also build self-trust, because to build resilience, something has happened to you where you've had to kind of grow or show yourself that you can handle it. So I feel like I had a lot of evidence that even when you make a big hard decision and even when it's scary, you're going to be okay because you've got your own back. And I
Mm.
think that having that mindset of just, if you don't try something, you're always going to regret not trying. And that is why I ultimately joined the police as well. So I feel like there's just this thing in my mind that allows me to push myself to do scary things or make big decisions, even if no one else can see my vision or the reason that I'm doing it at the time. Because I think for me, I've always kind of had this and I never could put language to it, but it's just like, I don't ever want to get to like 90 years old and be like, oh my God, I wish that I did that. I'd rather get to 90 years old and be like, I'm glad that I did that, even though it was completely fucked and I failed a billion times. Like, I don't care if I fail. I care that I actually tried, because then I know that I've actually tried. So for me, it's just like building that self-trust and being able to quieten the noise, like everything that's outside of you, every other person outside of you. When you can quieten that and allow yourself to go internal and be like, what is good for you? What is good for your soul? What do you really want to be doing? What is going to bring you happiness? And also at the same time, if this doesn't work out, it doesn't mean you're a failure.
Mm.
And just give yourself that permission. So I think for me, it's like, even when the decision is hard, I always can kind of make the decision that I think is right for me.
Mm. Mm. That's beautiful. And to me, that's giving like you dropped your ego, where the ego is like, don't do this. Oh, but you shouldn't. Oh, but like keeping you small, essentially. And that voice will be consistent and persistent. But coming internally, as you said, you were really able to connect with your true purpose and like your vision for yourself. And I think it's so funny because I believe, and I'm just assuming it's a collective thought where people are like, I don't want to get to, my deathbed and think, oh no, I fucked up, or not fucked up, or I wish I did. I wish I did that. I should have done that potentially, right? And we have those thoughts that are going to stop us from doing that and stop us from pushing. But all along, there's this like raging fire inside us that is like, oh, but you can, but there's something more. And I feel like you very much embody like, and now you teach other people to chase what is that fire inside you and to just keep pushing with that. So I love the characteristics that you spoke to around resilience. And I think that's so powerful. And that created the self trust in that as well. What else do you feel that time, and you also mentioned you went through this dark space throughout leaving the police force? Like, what other characteristics do you feel you strengthened within yourself to get you through these times, or even just overall in business? Like, if we zoom out.
Yeah, I think that like when I'm listening to you speak, and I think that like if I'm thinking of characteristics and there's one that I feel like I've not like I've built the self-awareness to see where this plays out in my life, but I honestly just think, and I think for everyone making big decisions, I think it's the ability to be really fucking courageous. Like honestly, I think the characteristic of courage, you can build that. And I think where people go wrong with that is like they think like, oh, you're just more confident, or you're just more courageous, or you're just more this, and that is such a limiter to us when we think someone else has something that we don't, and that's why we're not achieving it. But if we can just say, well, I can be courageous, and courage builds just like confidence over time. It's like when you do the thing, you build the courage. So I honestly think like a trait or whatever it is that allows me to make big decisions, whether it's like having my daughter as a teen mum when no one agreed, quitting the police when no one agreed, transitioning my business even though it scared the shit out of me and I thought I was going to lose everything. All of those things for me tie back to either being resilient or being courageous, but also compassion. Like I think if you are your worst critic and you are so hard on yourself, you are going to be so scared of making a big decision, because if it's not the right one, then you're going to be the one that comes down hardest on yourself. Whereas I think that I have learned that you cannot grow in shame. If you are shaming yourself, that you're not growing. And if you can have compassion for yourself. And I think the other thing as well is like, I don't think I view things as like right or wrong. And it's something that I've always kind of had is like everything to me. And sometimes I'm like, does this sound really woohoo? Like, but like everything to me is like a lesson. And I almost feel like it's like anything that happens to me that doesn't work out how I wanted it to, I feel like it's like the universe either redirecting me to where I'm meant to be going or teaching me something valuable. It's like, even if something happens to you that's really hard and you can't see the lesson right then, if you know that maybe in a year's time or 2 years time there's going to be a lesson, then I feel like that's really easy to manage the hard emotions. It's like when I was in that really dark space, and to be fully transparent, I don't know how much you want me to say, but like I actually had a year where I was, I had depression, I had anxiety. I'd never dealt with mental health in my entire life. I didn't even really know about mental health. And it
Mm,
was really, really challenging for me. And I just feel like in the moment, I'm like, well, what the fuck is the lesson here? I'm
mm,
in my darkest moment. There can't be possibly a lesson here. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And it's like those times, quitting the police, making big decisions, dealing with mental health,
mm,
they are what has made me be able to do what I do now, and do so in such a passionate way, where I genuinely care, where I genuinely love my clients, where I love everything that I get to do. And it's because of the lessons that I learned through my hardest times that I have this now. So that's why I like helping people, because if you're
mm.
going through something really hard, or you're doubting yourself, or you're not courageous and things like that, it's like you're learning things that are valuable to you, and they're going to come into play later on in your life.
That's so powerful. It's like the opportunity that comes from the darkness is something that you don't get when things are all good, and it's like your ability to not make it wrong when it was so hard, and you're like, but there's what could possibly come out of this, you just, and look where you are now. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I think also as well on that, one of the things, like thinking about a characteristic or whatever, it's like, I think your permission to change. Like, I honestly think change sounds so simple, but it's like the thing that people struggle with the most is change. Like, like for me, going to the police, for example, and then wanting to leave, it's like, well, that's really hard. Like, I've committed my whole life. I wanted this, I've got this, I've achieved this, and now I'm going to change my mind. And I think if when you feel something internal that's not right and doesn't feel aligned, and you can listen to yourself and be like, something needs to change here, you build self-trust. But I feel like a lot of people, when they need to make big change in their life, they're making themselves wrong. Like, why am I so indecisive? Shouldn't I just stick this out? Can't I just suck this up? And it's like, well, what if you actually just listen to yourself, and you actually changed when you knew that you needed to? So I
Mhm.
think there's that as well, a willingness to change, and permission to change your mind whenever you actually need to.
Mhm, mhm. Yep, which requires listening to yourself first. And I love that you said that, because so many people will feel like a little bit of a tickle of a thought that's like, oh, maybe this is not aligned with me anymore. But they'll put it to the side, make it wrong, and have this story of like, oh, but no, I've sacrificed this for this thing, or I said I was passionate about this, or these
Mhm.
people know me for being this type of person, so I can't possibly change. And in order to change that, we need to see it first, right? And your ability to slow down and see that, I really see that to be something that heavily contributed to your success, to give yourself permission to just keep moving. Like, that's just, I think that's a skill in itself too.
I think so too. And like, I think the thing that I probably had to work on the most is not caring what people think of me.
Mhm.
Like, I think that was something where I was almost just like, I feel like that could have very easily consumed the decisions that I was making, caring what other people are going to think. Are other people going to think this is a good idea? Are other people going to think this, and or think this of me? And I think, like, for me, it was like doing a lot of fucking ego work
Yeah.
to realize where I was trying to protect this concept of self that wasn't actually me, wasn't actually true to me. So I think as well, like, oh, I'm so passionate about mindset work. I'm like, why is everyone not doing this? Like, work on your mindset, see where your ego is playing out, and watch how, like, clearly you make aligned decisions when you understand yourself, and you're not kind of, I guess, being consumed by what everyone wants of you, or what you should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the path of least resistance, right? Yeah, it's, oh my God, incredible. The ego work, the mindset work. I love it. I love all of this. This is just so incredible. So, you immersed yourself in, actually, no, I want to just do a U-turn and come back to, what advice would you give to someone who did care in this current moment what people think of them? They're fearing judgment on Instagram, showing up online, or they fear stepping into their authentic self because they're trying to preserve a self-concept. Like, what would you say to somebody?
I think the first thing is, like, if you don't fully understand yourself and accept yourself and have compassion for all of you, you're always going to worry that people are judging you. So I think the first thing is, like, not looking outwards and just being like, well, don't care what people think or whatever it is. I think it's really looking inwards and seeing where you don't fully accept yourself, where you don't have unconditional love for yourself. Because if there are parts of you that you're making wrong, then of course you're going to fear that other people are making those parts of you wrong as well. And then I would also flip it to the other side of that, is like, well, can you drop your ego and actually look at your own projections? Because a lot of the times, if like we're projecting onto other people unconsciously or consciously, we're going to fear those same things back to us, and it actually limits us, but also it's our biggest mirror. So if there are things that you're projecting onto other people, it's likely the underexpressed parts of you that you actually want to express. So I think like the first part of not caring what people think is actually a shitload of inner work, understanding yourself. And also it's like, I think the thing that people struggle with a lot is like, I don't project onto anyone, because they're protecting their concept of self of not looking like a bitch. Where
Yeah.
it's just like, if you could just like drop that and actually be honest and not fear judgment of someone being like, well, you're a bitch if you thought that. So I think there's that part of it. And I think for me, and like if I'm giving advice to like, if you're listening to this and you do worry about what people think, and you're going to go on that journey of, you know, getting to know yourself and things like that, but it's also just like knowing that it's a losing fight. It's like a losing battle, and it's one that's always going to feel like you are never quite there, because we all know this, but it is the most impossible task to get everyone to like you. I did a reel about this the other day. I'm like, there are people that don't like mangoes, everyone. There are people that don't like mangoes. And if mangoes can't make everyone like them, no one can. So I think it's just that. And it's like, even like people like, you know, that's my analogy for today, everyone.
It's so perfect though, because you look at someone who doesn't like a mango and be like, there is literally like, are you serious? Like, what do you mean? But they're
Right.
doing everything right.
A mango is slaying. Like they are just the ultimate summer fruit, and there are people that don't like them. And I think as well, I think of people like, you know, there's like people like Taylor Swift, for example. People absolutely despise her, and she had to go through a lot of shit. And it's just like, she is such like a, whether you like her or not, such a kind human. She donates the most amount of money to charity. She literally like gives so much money to charities that they can feed people for years and years to come because of her, and people still hate her. So it's just like, even if you are the kindest person, even if you are doing the kindest things or whatever it is, there are still going to be people that don't like you. And my whole thing is like, I think it's getting to this point in your life where you realize your energy and your time is so precious. Like, time is like a core value of mine. And it's just like, I don't want to be a different version of myself to make people like me for being who they want me to be, because that's exhausting. Like, it's so exhausting. I would rather have less people maybe like me, or less people close to me, but they truly see me for me, and they accept all of me, in my strengths, in my weaknesses, in my flaws, in my fuck ups, in my achievements. They can celebrate me and all of that. So I think it's like, every time you have a moment of being like, oh, what if that person thinks that of me because I'm doing this? And it's like, if you can bring it back to you're doing it for, you know, in intentions that feel good for you, and a decision that feels aligned for you, and someone or multiple people don't like that, or don't agree with it, or decide to then hate you, it's like, they aren't your people. They aren't your people, and you don't want them coming along with you. And it's like, I think the part of that maybe doesn't get spoken about enough either is like, it can still hurt. Like, and it's actually okay if it does. Having people dislike you or hate you, especially if you're a business owner, especially if you show up online and your intention is always really, really good.
Yeah.
It's going to sting a little bit if people say something horrible about you. So I think there's that as well, of just normalizing, if that hurt a little bit, or maybe you had a little bit of a cry, or you know, whatever, it's just like, that's actually quite normal. No one loves getting horrible things said about them. And, you know, I've dealt with my fair share of people maybe misunderstanding me or not liking me, and it fucking hurt. But me then changing myself to, you know, make myself what people that are already not going to like me is not me really serving myself. It's me distancing from myself, and then that's where we lose self-trust, and we start to get confused and all of those things. So that's my long-winded advice. My short-winded advice is just like, fuck them. You do you, boo.
You do you. Fuck them.
You be a mango. Be a mango.
You fucking mango. Because everyone loves you except for the people that don't, and that's their problem.
You are still slaying.
Literally. Like, that was just such power. Like, rewind that, listen to that again, because that there was so many golden nuggets in that. Like, you know, the not judging yourself, transcending the fear. And a big part of this is acceptance. Like, accepting that the worst might happen, in the sense that, like, or if being okay with the worst, then you're good. Like, if you're okay with like the worst, which is not going to be that bad, then you're good, you know, and just getting so comfortable with that.
Right. This is what I tell people to imagine. It's like, if you're listening to this right now, this is what you can imagine. Every time you're fearing judgment or fearing a big decision or fearing failure, everyone is going to remember this. It's like in my mind, like even when I'm like really scared of a decision, I literally imagine the little Asian dude off of The Hangover just being like, but did you die? Like, but did and it's just like that is playing in my fucking head. And it's just like, okay, so you made a big decision or you put something out there that people didn't like about you or whatever it is, but are you still breathing? Are you still alive? Because if you are fine. Like you are fine. It sounds so dramatic. I'm like, but I'm a dramatic gal. So like I literally just did a mango analogy. So there's dramatics going on, but it works. It's like people get so scared to do a post, do a reel, do a podcast, do a masterclass, start the business or whatever it is. And it's like, worst case scenario is not death. So you are actually going to be okay. And it's like, you can always come back from everything. You can always come back from everything. And it's just like, that is kind of like, because I get nervous. Like people don't know this about me, but I literally, my body has a weird response to nerves where I get physically ill, where I'm nervous. I'm like, I'm sick. Like I need to go to the bathroom. My partner's like laughing at me. And I'm just like, honestly, when people say nerves are like shit, I'm like, my body literally gets ill. Like I'm sick. So I know what it feels like, but I just tell myself, I'm like, if you're this nervous, it means that you're doing something out of your comfort zone, which welcome growth and evolution of yourself, which is a brilliant like thing to welcome into your life. But also you're going to be okay because you're not going to die. Asian guy, everyone think of that Hangover.
So funny. That is the best scene. If you haven't seen it, just Google it. Like, Chow from The Hangover. But did you die? Because you just need to watch that scene. It's just so good.
Really?
Yeah. I love this so much. This is just incredible. So let's speak to coming in when you started your business, right? You were in the 3-bedroom house. You had dogs, cats, you had kids. It was a lot going on. And you were like, I'm making this work. Like you were balancing laptop on pillow, like we were doing the thing. So I imagine you didn't have any prior business experience. No.
None.
And
Zilch.
yeah, did you hire a mentor or were you like, I'm figuring it? Yeah. So she went solo.
Yeah.
Talk to me about like, I kind of want to hear some like funny shit that you did / mistakes you made / ways you used to run business that was like, why the fuck did I do it like that? Like, do you have anything that comes to mind?
I did so many fucking stupid things. Like I'm not even, to be like, the reason I didn't have a mentor is because when I came into this is like number one naive stupidity. I was like, oh my God, to my partner, oh my God, honey, like I'm inventing coaching.
Shit, you didn't really know.
I didn't know. I did not know that coaching existed. So I had done like I don't know if you know, they call like Move With Us Now or Their Bodies by Rachel. That was my whole exposure. Like I had signed up to things like that, and like that is it. I didn't know there was like coaching. I didn't know there was one-on-one coaching. I didn't know there was mentorship. I didn't know anything. So I literally thought I was like an innovative queen. Like I was like, oh my God, my clients are going to get to like speak to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like I am doing some things, which obviously I wasn't, because there was like 1,000 billion coaches out there. But I think it was being that naive that actually was beneficial for me, because I didn't really, in that early days, I didn't compare. I didn't look at what everyone else was doing. I just like was like, what do I want to be doing? What do I want to be saying? And it was so exciting. Like it was such a fun, exciting like time. Also very, very stressful. I remember one of the times, so when I started my business, I was doing meal plans and I was so lacking in boundaries. I was such a timid little shit. I was all like, oh, like I just want
timid little shit.
Yeah, honestly. And one of my clients, I remember she was like from America. And I was like, oh my God, I've never done a meal plan in America. And me and my partner was like, you're going to have to help me. And I was so like, I was like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing, but I didn't want to tell her that because I really wanted to do a meal plan that was like from someone in America. So we had like all the websites up, and America has like 700 food places. And then she was like, on her form, she was like, I really love pizza and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I'm going to give this girl a pizza. Like, it's going to be so great. And I stayed up to like 2 a.m. trying to do this meal plan. And then she emailed me the next day being like, look, I don't really love pizza that much that I would want it on the meal plan. I was like, that's so fine. Like, I'll just do another meal plan for you. And I just like did another meal plan for her. And I was like up until like I stayed up nearly all night trying to do this. I'm like, if that was me now, I'd just be like, it was on your questionnaire.
Babe, you told me
I would stay up. Yeah, it's on there. I would stay up till so late. And there was just like, I was doing like a bank transfer. So like, I didn't know anything about business. So it's like so dodgy. Like, I'm like, am I going to get arrested? Like I was just like people being like, oh, I want a meal plan. I'd be like, here's my BSB and account number. And I was just using my Hotmail email address and people were just like giving me money.
Shut up.
So dodgy. I didn't know about like
APS.
tax. I didn't know about accounting. I didn't know about, and I literally the first time, because my stepdad was like, so like now that this is going quite well, better than you thought, like what are you doing with tax stuff? And I was like, what? I seriously was like, I'm so stressed right now. I don't know what you're talking about. And we had to like get an account. And I was like, I think I fucked up. Like, I think I've done this so wrong. Like, I had no clue about business. I was making it up as I was going. And I think like obviously I learnt a whole lot of shit. But yeah, I had no clue. I had not one clue. I
That
didn't know there were systems. Like I didn't know anything. I was just kind of like, I want to help people with nutrition, and that was the extent of the plan.
mm, yeah, but without that, if you had have known potentially that there were so many other coaches, and if you had have played into the story that you didn't know, in fact, what you were doing, the time of slowing yourself down would have been so significant. You wouldn't have built the momentum. You wouldn't have built that like proof and evidence that it was working, and potentially even the community that you build and the experience in just doing,
Yeah.
and whilst there's things that you can fast track and like find out about systems that's going to help you, but it was the mindset behind you just committing to moving regardless, which was so cool. I love it. So how did your business model then evolve from that? So we were doing the meal plans. When did you
Oh,
start to get your shit together?
it's changed so many times, but like just on what you just said, I think the biggest thing that if you're new in business, thinking about business, a new coach, or even in like for me, I'm like, if you're 5 years into business, you're still new. Like I don't even classify myself as like an expert. Well, I don't think anyone's like a full blown expert. I think because things evolve and things grow. So I think like a willingness to be a beginner is such a beautiful gift to give to yourself, because you're not saying that you have to have it figured out. You're not saying that you have to be perfect. You're saying that I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to give it a red hot crack. And that mindset always, like that mindset for me was always there. It was like, I have a passion. I have something I really am so committed to bringing to life. And I'm willing to learn all of the things that I need to learn to bring that to life. But for me, it was learning through mistake. It was learning through doing things the wrong way, the long way, the hard way, whatever it was. I'm sure there was a billion quicker ways to get shit done in the ways that I was doing them. It was taking me like 7.5 years to do one meal plan. So there's that. Like it was just everything was taking so long. But it's like I learned and I grew and I evolved. And it's like for if you're like newer now or a coach, or even if you're not new, it's just like what was available to me then is not available to is like wasn't no I don't even know how I'm trying to say that, but I didn't have the resources available to me then that people do now. I feel like there's masterclasses on things, there's courses, there's mentors, there's people willing to guide you, show you, give you everything. And when I started, it was like when I realized that there was a coaching industry, it was like, well, you don't ask anyone else because they're trying to run their own business. Why would they give you advice when your client, you're like their like opponent or whatever the word is? So it was still like you're alone. Whereas like now it's not like that. I feel like it's so much, yeah, I guess it's an investment, but I think it's easier to fast track things so you don't have to fuck up as much or make your life that little bit harder. But how it evolved, I think, was like I started off just doing meal plans. That's it. I didn't do any coaching, and I thought that I was doing the best thing ever. I now don't really think that I was doing the best thing ever, but at the time I really thought I was helping people. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to do nutrition coaching. So I started doing meal plans with nutrition coaching. And I was like, I had insane wait lists from the day that I started. Like my wait list, I don't think it ever budged below 150. I'd bring people in, the wait list would fill up. I'd bring people in, the wait list would fill up. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do nutrition coaching without meal plans because meal plans are the most time consuming thing. And I really, really fell in love with that. And I ended up having around, in total, I think around 85 one-on-one clients, and I was burnt the fuck out. Like I was like, holy shit, this is really, really hard. Like running this by yourself. You're doing the back end now. You're looking after 85 clients. You're messaging them, doing the check-ins, doing all this stuff. Plus you're a content creator. Plus you've got to market yourself. So I was like, a little bit in over my head. And I think it just, as I learned lessons at the time of where things kind of weren't efficient or, could have been more automated or more systemized. And I started to switch into this more like I started to love business. Like I fucking loved it. That sounds so aggressive, but like I really loved it.
It's so
So
relevant. Yeah.
I was just like, I was eager to learn. Like I actually just had and I don't think everyone, and I don't think if you're a nutrition coach or a PT, you have to like love business or be eager to learn. You just have to like, I guess, no, that's a lie. Yes, you do. But like you can get help in doing so. But I just actually had like a love for it. Like I was like, this is so fun. Like this is so cool. And things just grew and evolved. I ended up like from my first meal plans that were like $25 for a meal plan, before I'd finished up doing my nutrition coaching, I was running 12-week programs that they basically got like calls with me and like all of this really close proximity for like 2,100 and something dollars. And I still had a wait list and that was sold out. So it's like it just grew and evolved. My prices changed so dramatically as I grew and evolved. And I was just willing to move quite rapidly, learn quite rapidly, fuck up quite rapidly, change things, evolve. Like I added things in like one-off calories and macros, and I was like, oh, I actually hate this. Like I don't want to send that out. So I just removed it. Like
Yeah.
I just was willing to try things out and see what worked and see what didn't work. And I think that that's what allows me to be better at business now, because I've tried so many things and really realized the ins and outs of what works and what doesn't work. So it's been a journey.
Oh, it's huge. And that aggressive passion that you have is going to allow you to fall over 10 times and just get back up, but then also question them because you got the passion for business. You're like, oh, why didn't that work? Oh, that's interesting. And that has evolved you so much. Well, it's so incredible. Like to have that many people on a wait list is such an achievement as well. Like that's just insane. Like,
It was so scary. I was like, what is happening? But I freaking love what you just said, because I literally like I really believe in that as well. It's like I think the people that are going to be really successful are the people that just get back up more times. Like I honestly just think that, and I don't think everyone, it's not like you're gonna like you have to fall to the pits and it be really challenging, but it's just like you're gonna face adversity, you're going to face things that challenge you, and it's like the people that, you know, do the challenge and either fail or succeed, they learn either way. If you succeed, you've learned. If you failed, you've learned, and then you just keep moving forward. So it's like if you have the mindset that it's a matter of like if, not a matter of when, you just keep moving forward. Like
yeah.
you just keep going.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, with the falling over thing, it's like you could fall over 10 times or you could fall over once in hesitation, once in hoping it works, and then just like doing it. And then like, or just knowing and accepting, I'm going to fall over and I'm going to get back. I'm going to, because it's like, it's not a matter of, yeah, it's when. So that is like such a golden answer. And I think, as you said, it can be in the micro moments and the micro things. And it really just reflects the amount of volume required to become good at something, right? Like do the posts, do the content, send an email, talk to more clients, do the experience. And then you'll also understand who you are, what you're good at, how you run a business, right? It's like, I think people come into the industry and they put pressure on themselves for not knowing exactly who they're going to niche into, how they're going to coach people, why they don't have the best results yet, why their business, like you haven't got enough volume behind you. So on that, like, have you seen this in the business space, or I'm curious, like where else? I think we've covered a lot in terms of where people potentially like slip up, you could say, in the industry, common struggles, perspectives they're missing, things that are slowing them down. What comes to mind when I say that?
Yeah. So what comes to mind is like I truly only the thing that I think stops people is only one thing in my mind, and it's themselves. That is literally it. And I feel like there are two reactions to that. Either no, it's XYZ, it's this, this is why not, or it's like holy shit, if it's just me, I'm the only one in my way, then I have full power to change what I need, learn what I need, fail how many times I need to, succeed how many times I need to, and it becomes empowering. So I honestly think when you can see that the only person in your way is you, and it's like I feel like I say that with such confidence because a lot of the time I do hear people like you know, if they're saying it's not working out or they can't do it or now is not the right time, it's usually like, well, I have bills to pay or I have rent to pay or I have kids to look after and all of those different things. And for me, saying that to me, I'm like, same. Like I have all of those things as well. So I feel like it's just like, and the thing is, you don't have to go balls to the wall every single time with every single thing, but you can just start. You can meet yourself where you're at, and like not everyone has to move back home with their parents, but if it is keeping your full-time job or your part-time job or whatever it is, and you know, gradually getting clients and things like that, I also think that again, it just comes back to us though, is like we give up too soon before we reach our full potential. So we like are so conditioned to need that like instant gratification, that things are taking off, clients are coming in, money's coming in, this offer fucking sold out, this post went viral, all of these different things. And it's like you start posting and you do 50 posts and each post averages 3 likes. So you're done. You give up. But it's just like, well, what if 60 posts was where it started to pick up to 20 likes, and then like 100 posts was where it's like, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's like when we can get into that mindset where we don't need that instant gratification, where we don't need someone else to tell us that we're enough because we trust and believe in ourselves. And it really just comes back to that again, right? Like the trust that you have for yourself, the belief that you have in yourself, the unconditional love that you have for yourself is going to propel you forward. And I think as well, it's like people dream much smaller than I think that they're capable of as well, because they don't ever want to feel like I didn't reach there when I dreamed so big. Whereas like, I think that's a limit. Like I in my world, I'm like delusional dreams only. Like dream really big. Like that's it. That
That's a
dream
t-shirt.
sounds.
I want that on a t-shirt.
That dream sounds too safe. We are not doing like, you know,
Yeah.
I think people just really limit their own potential. And I think, you know, we don't want to look at where it's us. And I think that that was something that was really powerful for me. And like, especially someone who did have a really shit upbringing, and you know, I had my partner that I was in a relationship with for 9 years, it was very abusive and toxic, and the police didn't work out, and all these things just seemed to be like on top of each other, where it was just like you were never going to succeed because life is against you, like life doesn't want you to succeed. And then I had depression, I had anxiety, like all of these things were piling up against me, and it's just like I could have used all of those things to not be here today, like where I am doing what I'm doing, but I chose not to. I chose not to say, well, this and this has happened to me, so that's why I'm not there. I chose to be just like, well, what can I do? What can I do to move myself forward? And how can I make that happen? And how can I back myself? And how can I give myself the confidence to move forward? And I think also your environment. I have a very, very, very insanely supportive partner who would back me in anything that I want to do and cheer me on in anything that I want to do. He is like the most insane person. So I feel like even like your support network, the boundaries that you set, the people that you surround yourself with, it all plays like these micro little things, like all of these little things play a role in your own success. But it just comes down to the decisions that you make.
Yeah. And seeing that there is a choice always that is available to you. You know, you get to a fork in the road and you truly you get an option to choose, go right and be a victim, or accept that you were just never going to have an easy path, or you can go left and choose that it is up to you and it's on you, and you get to move and you get to create this fluidity in your journey. And that's so incredible. And I think even if you don't yet have the support network with you, you will, right? Like you didn't always have an incredible, like rock solid support, like as you've said. Like it's just so
You
crazy. And I
become
think
your own support. You become
right.
your own support. Like, yeah. And I honestly think the only way that I could, you know, sounds weird, but like call in the relationship that I have right now is because I worked on myself. Like I had a very toxic relationship, but I was also very anxious, and had a very anxious attachment, and I wasn't confident in myself at all. But with the partner that I have now, I was confident in myself, and I loved myself. And yeah, now we get to have this really beautiful relationship. But it's like, if you don't have the support yourself. Like, where are you not being your biggest cheerleader? Where are you tearing yourself down and telling yourself like you're not enough? And I think the other thing is like always being willing to learn. That is something that I've always like, you know, not when I first started my business, because I didn't know that you could, like I learned by failure, but it's just like now I will like invest in myself. I will invest in a mentor. I will invest in like, you know, at the moment, for example, I'm really wanting to learn a little bit more about like, you know, paid ads and funnels and just another branch in business, because it genuinely just, it interests me and makes me really excited. So I invest in that. I learn how to do that. I put in the time. I'm very willing to suck at it because it's something new to me, but I'll just learn. I never feel like I have to look further ahead than I am to other people or whatever it is. So I think it's like, if say you were posting and it didn't feel like it was working out or whatever it is, it's like, well, rather than give up, like, how can you learn? How can you learn? Can you invest in a masterclass? Can you just even like spend like time doing some like research, market research, and looking like, you know what I mean? There's always things, even free things. Get a book, get a like freaking free audio book, or do like something. Like I think that there's always ways to
Mm,
learn and improve and grow. And I think people that I see that I really like, I love, like Alex Hormozy and Gary Vee and like all these like just like
mm,
expansive as fuck people, they're
yeah.
still learning as well. Like no one ever, when you don't feel like you've got
Hmm.
there,
Hmm.
not that you don't feel like you've got there, but you know what I mean? You don't ever feel like I know enough, I know
Yeah.
everything. It's just like you're going to keep growing and it's really cool. There's no limit to your
Yeah.
growth. Like sky's the limit. That's what I tell all my clients. I'm like, babe,
Yeah.
where is your goal right now? Cool. We're going to like tenfold that. Say goodbye to that little goal. We're delusional goals only again.
Yeah. Literally, that's a cute little goal. Like, no, we don't like, yes. Delusion. I
You're
love
taking
that you
over
said
the
that.
world.
Yes, you are. Claim it.
Claim it right now, like aggressive at them. That's me as a coach. Like, I really want to have like 10 clients, and I'm like, so basically, you're going to take over the world. That's where we got. That's all I've been hearing.
10,000. Got you. Okay.
All right, let's get to work. Let's get to work.
But that's such a fucking good example. Like, say you want 10 clients, your action is going to reflect the fact that you want 10 clients. Like, you are going to have this perception that what you're doing is going to result in 10 clients. What if you have a perception that what you do results in 10,000 clients? Your
Business
action
energy.
is going to look so different.
Yeah.
Ah!
It's
Yeah.
like big business energy. And do you know what I think the big thing is with business or with life or with anything? Is like, do not put a time frame on your own success. Oh my gosh, it is just such a setup for fail. Like it's like, oh, I want to have this by then, and then it doesn't happen by then, and you think you failed, but you haven't. It's just like it's a matter of time, and you can't. I think that's the one thing. It's like I'm very big on only focusing on what you can control. Do not focus on what you cannot control. Focus on what you can control, and you cannot control your timeline. Like as much as you wish that you could, you
Mm.
really, really can't. And I think, yeah, don't cap yourself with like when you need it to happen. People do this with weight loss all the time as well. I want to lose X amount of weight in 8 weeks, and then they don't. So then they give up and they feel like they're a failure. It's like, you're not a failure. It's like the time limit that you set for yourself wasn't correct. So give yourself 6 months, give yourself a year. Like in business, I'm like, I have very big goals, like delusional vibes. I'm gonna get this printed. That's it. I'm changing my business name. Delusional goals only. But like I'm
Please. Do
you're
it.
hearing it first. I have like big goals for myself, but I don't care. Like if I'm like 50 years old and I'm like Brené Brown, like rocking like you know, gray hair and slaying,
Love
then
it.
I'm actually okay with that. Like it doesn't have to happen right now. It doesn't have to happen in 5 years. I just need to know that I'm doing what I can right now. And
Mm.
whenever it happens, that's perfect for me.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's gonna happen, but don't be complacent that it's gonna happen. Like you keep like no expectation that it has to happen in the next 5 years because it could happen in the next six, or it could happen in the next 60, and that's perfect. And I love those success stories of like people like even like Grant Cardone, and he like made his success when he was like in his 40s. And even
I
Gary, like
love that.
yeah, like I love this. And now you're like multi-billionaires. Like this is the best.
That
It's
is the best.
Oh, it's so cool. So I also just want to, and I feel that a lot of people listening, desiring success in business, they're going to look at someone like you who achieved rapid success. And whilst the mindset thing is very much relevant, like it is a huge pillar and it's always yourself that's in the way, but equally with that, understanding how you can connect with people, how can you build a community, how can you build this sense of authority in the space. How do you believe you did that before you created a wait list of so many people? You created this authority. Do you have language of how you feel you did that?
I feel like now would be different to what I think I did then. And the reason that I say that is because I truly think, and people like the industry is changing, all of those things. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do believe it's evolving. And I do believe when I started 3.5 years ago, it's different to what it is now. It's not a saturated industry. Like you would never catch me dead saying that. But there are more coaches. There are more coaches, and industry is always going to evolve. The coaching industry is really, it's still such a new industry, really. Like if you think
Huge.
about it,
Yeah.
and it's always going to be growing and evolving. So I think it's a willingness to grow and evolve with it. And I honestly like, I feel like I like to say this, but I sometimes think I don't know, but I'm basically like when getting clients 3.5 years ago, I actually did think it was easier. Like I truly do, but that's not to say I think it's hard now. So I think that's where we mess up, where people are like, but it's just so hard to get clients now. And then they don't look at what they could be doing to get them because they're blaming something external. So I do think it was easier. And I think, the thing then that I think I did really well was I wasn't comparing myself. I wasn't trying to be anyone else. I was very authentic to who that I was, even though I was like, am I too bogan for this? Do I swear too much? Like, I can't talk very well. I'm like, I don't care. Like, this is who that I am. So I think that being my authentic self meant that I attracted really aligned people. And I just feel like business is all about relationships, especially a business, an online service business. It's all about relationships and being able to foster relationships and being able to connect with human beings, understand human beings. I think now, I think it's a combination of a couple of things that you should really be working on. I think it is being your authentic self, but I also don't think just show up as yourself is enough and just be the energy and that's enough. And that's just my opinion. Like, I just don't feel like it is enough. I feel like if you can really start to work on what it takes to build a personal brand. And part of that is being yourself, but it's also about what is your vision? What is your mission? What do you stand for? And do you stand for something? And are you confident in speaking about what you stand for? Are you building authority? Do people trust you? Are you building trust? Are you building credibility? Because with there being so many voices online now, the biggest thing that you can do that's going to benefit you is build trust with your audience through genuine care about what you're here to do for them. So I think building a personal brand is like, everyone should be doing that if they're a service-based industry. But I also just think it's like, now I think it's more beneficial than probably it was when I first started doing it, to get a bit more of a solid idea of what it takes to run a business, getting really clear on, how to sell, how to launch, how to structure your back-end system so it's really, really smooth and really automated, how to create a really business model that aligns with your passion, your vision, your personal brand, but also is going to get clients in. How to speak to people, I think, is really important right now. So more looking into like buyer psychology and seller like how do people actually buy? What are their thought processes, and how do you make sure that you're speaking to those thought processes? So I think all of those different things are a little bit more important now than probably when I started, just because the coaching industry is like, it's a little baby and now it's become a little toddler, and then things are changing. The willingness to learn and grow and evolve, I think, is like, you're going to do fucking good, and you're not going to have a really, really hard time getting clients, because you're the coach that is a safe coach. You're the coach that people trust. You're the coach that, offers a very, very good client experience when people come in, and word of mouth and retention is really high because your back-end systems are really good, and, your business model is good. So if clients are already in, they have another place to go if they don't want to be paying the top tier anymore. Like, there's so many things that you can think about that I think, to be honest, I think I was already doing them, but I didn't have language for them. So all these different things that I was kind of maybe already doing in that first, or at least after year one, I was probably already doing. Whereas, now I just think it's more important, but also I just love learning about it as well. Like, I'm like, teach me more.
Yeah, that's it. And absolutely, you would have been marketing and selling without realizing, oh, this is the skill of marketing and selling. Like, and it doesn't have to be a thing where I need to learn how to market. Like, make that process simple. Like, marketing is just getting more people to be aware of what you're doing. Like, selling is just like inviting people to actually take up the offer of helping change their life, like that's really what it gets to be. And it then really creates the relationship. You're not marketing and you're selling. I mean, you are, but you're creating a relationship with that to which you market and sell. And I just love your entire answer for that. It was just so good. And I love that you did say, like, yes, things do change and things will continue to change in the industry, and therefore our adjustment to those needs to change, but it's not a bad thing.
No,
Because
I think it's exciting. I'm like,
yeah,
yay, what's coming next? Some things I'm like, if it's social media or something, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. I remember when Reels first came out. Oh my God, I wanted to die. I was like, can you just fuck right off with all of these new things? Because I'm not good at technology. You should have seen my first reel. It was terrible. I remember being in the kitchen. I'm like, wait, do you press play now? Pause. I don't know. I just want to like throw my phone away. I was like, what are these stupid reels? I just want to post a photo of me in my activewear. Like, leave me alone.
Legit. And now you're
Now I'm like,
saying,
I love reels.
yeah, exactly. Right. Oh my God. And like when threads came out, everyone's like, what is this?
Oh,
You just keep going.
yeah. New things come, and it's just, even if you hate them at the beginning, like me. Do you know what? I hate saying that because I'm like, oh my God, I sound like one of those people that are like 90 and whinging about new
Yeah.
technology. Like back in my day, we didn't have reels. I'm like, no, shut up, Ashley. That is like, please stop.
Legit, it's exactly what it's like. But then we grasp it by the balls and we're like, well, I'm going to be making the best reels out. So that's exactly my choice. And it gets to be
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
And then you look back at your really shit reel and you're like, lol. See, and
Yeah.
it's not even a bad thing. Like you look back at it and it's funny. Like I look back at it and it's like glitchy and things are stopping.
Yeah.
And like, do you know, you're
Uh-huh.
meant to start and stop the camera and things are meant to be in the same place. But on my first reel, it was like, it's off on the side a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, but now I get to see that it's like way better. So
Literally. Everyone go scroll back on Ash's old Instagram reel.
me like quickly deleting it. I'm like,
Yeah.
back off, guys. Don't judge.
I mean, to be fair, like I like making a reel last night. I think my phone updated, and like all of the like ways of making a reel, it's so easy. I'm like, this is the best. Like it used to
Yeah,
be
they've done like an
so
editing
like,
feature, like
yeah,
kiss a vibe. See,
yeah.
things get easier as well. Things get easy.
Mhm.
Although Instagram's being a glitchy little shit to me lately. So
Glitchy little shit, has it? What's it doing?
like when I take a photo on my stories, I'm such a sook. When I take a photo on my stories, it just moves. Like I'm like, I take the photo here, and then when it takes it, and then when it moves to a different direction, and I'm like,
That
what?
is so
Why
funny.
are you doing that? And then when I upload a reel, the words disappear. Like the writing
Oh,
that I had over the top,
yeah,
I
that.
upload it and then it's gone. So now it just looks like a picture, like a video of me being like, hey, there's no writing on top of it.
That's happened to me. Oh my god, that's so funny. And then you do it again, it happens again. You're like, ah! It's
Or
making me
one
too.
time it happened like 4 times to me, and I literally like my partner was like, evacuate the house because I was just like, don't talk to me. I'm just so angry right now. My stupid reel, and I'm like, I don't want to upload it. See, we like have tantrums, and then you just move on and upload the reel, and it worked. And I was like, oh, look at my cool reel.
Yeah, literally. And you
So
forget
easy.
that. Honestly, you know what really amazes me about you, and this is potentially my projection because I don't have kids, but your ability to get shit done and have a family is just profound. I have this assumption that your time management is incredible. Is it?
I don't. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. It's see me like I'm like, how do I compliment myself? No, like maybe. But also the thing is like I had my daughter at 18. I
Mm,
had my son at 19. I don't really know any different. So for me, it's always been like that. Like I've always had two other people to
mm,
think about when planning everything. So I think my time management is really good. And I also think as well, it was about having that compassion for myself that when you run a business or you run two businesses and you have a family and you're like a female, you're like you're a woman who is trying to be successful in her career and you're trying to be successful at being a mom and a partner and all of those things. Sometimes balance, you don't nail it. And it's like you can have compassion for yourself. Sometimes when there's really busy periods in my business, I feel like I'm like, shit, I feel like I'm not spending enough time with the kids or like vice versa. And finding that balance is like sometimes I really feel like I do nail it. And
mm,
sometimes I feel like I'm just like, this is really challenging. Like it can be really, really hard. But I think it's just learning. I've learned as I've gone. I really intentionally make business models now because I value time and I value freedom, but I love business. So I try and have that balance in my business models that allows me to have both, where I get to have impact, where I get to live out my passion through my business and help people. But I'm also making sure that I'm living presently in my life with my kids, spending time with them, with my partner and things like that. And like my kids are a little bit older now. I have a couple of clients who have like babies as they're like, and they're running businesses. And I'm like,
mm.
time management is very, very important. But I just feel like over time I've gotten good at it.
Yeah.
I've gotten good at it and I just get it done. Like my son also has two chronic diseases. So we go to hospital a lot and we have a lot of appointments and we're at one the other week and I just make sure I planned my calendar so that I'm not on calls or I let my girls know that I'm not going to be in WhatsApp during that day that I'm at hospital and things like that. So I have a lot of open communication
Mm.
with my clients and things like that. But I just feel like I just in the mindset where it's just like I have to make it work. Like after this podcast, I'm going to my kids, my kids, that sounds so, my son, he's at OzTag right now. So I'm doing this and then I'm going there and then I'm going to come back and do a little bit more work. I had a call this morning. It's just like,
Yeah. You just fluid,
just
you move
I
in.
just make it work, and I make sure I really enjoy my weekends. Like
Yeah.
we go do really fun shit. We go to Fraser Island, and we love adventure and outdoors and exploring and experiencing. So I just make sure we prioritize that as well. And they're at school during the week, so
Yeah.
then I
It's good.
slay being a boss.
It's like, whoa. It's just the best. So, what is in store for the future of Ash, if you wouldn't mind sharing? What can you share?
Yeah, so well, as of today, I can share that, the health and nutrition side of things is now the empowered health movement, and we're really focused on building a community and really helping change women's lives in incorporating like health, like body positivity, mindset, all of those different things. So I'll be running that business, but I won't be like doing the coaching and things like that. I have two amazing epic coaches that do the coaching. So that is like we're really focusing on building that up and personal brand, like all of those different things with that, which I find really fun because I'm like, yes, bring it. How are we going to market this bitch? And then we have like Ashley Badman coaching, which I just changed my entire business model, massively flipped it on its head. There are some stuff in there that I haven't really spoken about, which is like my plan. One of them, I'll tell you one of them because I'm very excited. I'm going to be doing my first ever event on the Gold Coast, and I already have 3 guests that have said yes, and they are incredible, inspiring, powerful, motivational, successful people. So I'm going to be doing like a panel vibe, but it's going to be mixed with networking. So I want to be really fun. I want there to be a videographer, filming the whole thing. We're going to do like speaking element, but also mingling, maybe some cocktails. Like I want to bring the two together, like play and fun with success and business. And it's going to be in person because I really value connection and community. So I'm going to be running that and maybe some retreats in the future. There's a lot of things that are changing with me, and then I have my online program at the moment, which is starting on Monday, which is insane. It goes for 8 months. It is called the Business Hub, and it is basically a one-stop shop for everything that someone would need to have online success, including mindset and strategy, bundled into one. So the last 3.5 years of me on a roller coaster, I have condensed that into 8 months so that you don't have to like have those same, I guess, mistakes. And those are all the things. But I'm really trying to move forward with a lot more in person, a lot more connection, and just mixing it up a little bit. I love the online space, but I just want to meet people, hug them, squeeze them. Like, that sounds like
No,
way
it
too much.
sounds perfect. You can hug and squeeze all you need.
My client's like, we're not coming to your event because you're terrifying us. I'd be like, come here and hug me.
I'm gonna come, but I'm gonna keep my distance. No.
Hey Ash, running away.
Literally.
I'm not a hugger.
Yeah, where's the name tag? I'm not a hugger.
No, that's so funny.
Oh, that's so exciting. Like so exciting. I can just see this just continuing to expand, and with these networking events, just like growing your brand, your personal brand, your community. And I think it's what people crave, that connection.
Yeah, and that's all I crave out. I'm like, I want
Yeah.
to meet people, and like the guests themselves, I'm like, I like they're so good. And I'm like, the fact that I get to bring these people together and we're doing it like a panel style thing. So it's just gonna be like, it's gonna be so fun. And I want more people to like, like coaches and stuff like that, come together, be friends, like meet each other in person, have some delicious food and a drink. And it's going to be like the theme already is like, you have to, no question about it, wear something incredibly bright and too much. Like that is the vibe, something really bright, like bright orange, bright pink. I don't care what it is. Like chuck on some heels, like
Yes.
feel like you can take
Extra.
up space. Like, yeah, be too
Yeah.
much, because so
Be
many
too much.
people, they're conditioned, not, don't be too much, don't be, and I'm like, delusional dreams, be too much, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get all of you in one room and let's fuck shit up.
Basically, that I'm just going to use that as the marketing. That's the tagline.
Yeah. You're good. That's all they need to know.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's what's coming. So very exciting. I'm super excited. And it's a learning thing for me too. I've never run an event. The retreat that I'm planning on running is in Bali. I'm saying it is in Bali. So this is a lot of new things for me, of like, there's a legal stuff with running a retreat in Bali. There's like the event, like the venue stuff. And like there's a lot of new things that I've never done before. But I'm like, this time I'm writing it down as I go. What I'm learning, what didn't work, what is working, so that, if I do business coaching for anyone that wants to do live things, I can like help them do it a lot quicker, have a checklist, do it easier than, what I'm having to kind of learn as I go.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Documenting the process. That's really cool. So cool, Ash. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for this episode. This has been packed with value. Like there's been so much, and just hearing your story, I'm fired up. Like I'm so fired up hearing everything you've had to say. The mindset that you have is so inspiring, and it can be something that anyone can strengthen in themselves. And it's just so obvious that that is the result, that yours has resulted in your success. So it's just so incredible. I can't wait to see what you continue to do. So if the listeners are wanting to continue to follow your journey and you as a person, where can they find you?
So my Instagram page is Ashley Badman _, literally Badman, Badman. And yes, that was my name in the police, Badman. And when I gave out tickets, it was a.badman issued a ticket to you.
Oh
What the
my
like,
God.
I was like, this
No.
is mortifying.
That's no wonder you left the one. No, I'm just kidding.
A bad man, and on my bloody badge as I walk around the street saying a bad man dressed in a
No
police, like it
way.
was like a prank. Like it didn't even look real. I'm like, this is like, yeah. And I've had like so many criminals. I'm trying to arrest people and they're making jokes at my expense, and I'm like, ha 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 ha, like you want me to laugh with you? I'm like trying to arrest you. I don't even know what's happening right now. Like so Ashley Badman _, or my podcast is called All of the Things, which I'm ramping up to 2 episodes a week being dropped. So
Huge.
it has its own Instagram page now, which I started today. So much is happening today, and I happened to come onto here as well. So that's cool.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy and grateful to have had you on the podcast. Thank you again so, so, so much. This has just been the best.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm just going to stop recording, babe.